process just so it would not give the impression they had given the industry self-regulation.
Right, let's get Robert to comment.
But they have given the industry self-regulation.
Let Robert respond, please.
My turn?
Yep, please.
Did you not lose that lawsuit?
Excuse me.
Yes. My turn
lawsuit. Now. Excuse me. That fact has nothing to do with the outcome of the lawsuit, Robert. The biotechnology strategic manager has admitted in writing that review process is not a scientific review, and the FDA has admitted it on at least one other occasion too. That is a fact.
I see. So all the tests which are done according to OECD testing protocols used around the world, in Canada, in Europe, in Japan, in Australia, in the United States, they're all done on every single GM crop. But you say they are not happening. That's very interesting. What is the
FDA doesn't require them, and they don't.
Sorry, let's let Robert finish his point.
It is a voluntary process in the U.S. at this point in time, but every single GM crop that has come to market has gone through that process. So yes, you could argue that perhaps we should make it mandatory. I don't think it would matter a stitch because every single one has gone through it.
I'd like to present some very interesting information. You know, of foods that actually did pass testing, that of the small minority that really did go through testing with the whole food, and this was at least for 90 days, which is intermediate, not even long term, when a team of independent scientists in Europe, university scientists, got a hold of the data that had been submitted to the regulators and on which the regulators in the EU had approved those foods for human consumption, they found that, and those were 19 studies comprising soy and corn varieties, comprising 83% of the genetically engineered foods that people have actually been regularly eating. They find that 9% of the measured parameters, including blood and urine biochemistry and organ weights, were significantly disrupted in the animals that ate the genetically engineered food.
What kind of
Moreover,
animals?
The greatest disturbances, the greatest disturbances were to the kidneys of the males and the livers of the females, and those are the major reactive organs in cases of chronic food toxicity.
Running out of time
they were published in a peer-reviewed journal in 2011.
What kind of animals?
He's quoting Seralini.
Those were the rats.
Those were rats. Okay.
Yeah.
Robert?
He's quoting Seralini.
Seralini and several other scientists.
Oh, come on. Seralini's been debunked by...
Scientist,
I need to hear one at a time. Excuse me. I need to hear one at a time. Robert, please finish your point.
His Seralini 2011 paper was retracted.
It wasn't. Not that paper.
Oh, right. The guy republished it in a paper-published journal, and it is complete junk. If you look at Figure 1, just look at it's now Figure 6 in the republished after being retracted. If you look at that, the control rats in his study died at 30%, whereas the rats fed the highest level of GM crops died at 10%.
Robert, you're not talking about the study that I was citing.
Which one are you talking about?
I just said, you didn't hear me.
Seralini, 2011.
Seralini has published several studies, Robert.
Oh, yes,
this was one. Would you please let me be quiet a moment?
Gentlemen.
This was a study conducted by Seralini and several different scientists. It reviewed the data packages that have been submitted to the European Union researchers and researchers in other parts of the world. And it found using that data that statistically significant differences existed that were there. And the most troubling were to the livers and the kidneys. Those are the major. That study was published in a peer-reviewed journal. It has never been retracted. You're mixed up about what studies you're talking about.
Okay, let's let Robert respond, please.
Thank you. Seralini is a very well-known anti-GMO person. He's paid millions of euros a year to come up with this stuff by people who have their agenda to tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that Seralini is not paid millions of euros a year by an anti-GMO foundation.
I have no knowledge about that.
Oh, okay,
even
fine.
If he isn't,
may I finish? May I finish? May I finish?
Yes, please.
Okay, the European Food Safety Authority has looked at each and every one of Seralini's papers, and every one of them has been completely debunked as bad science. Now you are a lawyer. How do you evaluate that without having the training in molecular biology and biochemistry?
Excuse me, but that study is has been reviewed by many independent scientists who say it's strong. It was peer-reviewed and published. You know, any scientists and it's documented in my book, almost every scientist who has performed research that has detected statistically significant harm in laboratory animals fed GMOs gets viciously attacked by people like you and unjustly attacked. And my book documents how unjust the attacks are.
Let me come in at this late hour because we're almost running out of time. You have both advanced points to support each of your sides of the argument. You two are far more expert in this than the people who are watching this program right now. So I want you to give some advice. Robert, go first, please. How are we supposed to make up our minds on this issue?
I would suggest you go to National Academies of Science, National Health Authorities, and National Food Safety Authorities. They have lots of information on their websites. See what they have to say.
Stephen, how do we figure out who's right here?
Well, we look at the independent scientists. We look at good scientists like Michael Antonio, with the a geneticist with the University of London, who, by the way, has a doctorate. He's better credentialed than Robert happens to be, and he studied all of these studies very thoroughly. He uses recombinant DNA technology in his own work in trying to cure human genetic disease. So he's not anti-genetic engineering, but he is anti-using it in agriculture the way it has been done. And let me read a quote from Dr. Michael Antonio. What repeatedly happens in the case of GE food is that despite increasing evidence of serious adverse health test results, government and industry continue unabated with the development, endorsement, and marketing of these foods as if nothing has happened, to the point they even seem to ignore the results of their own research. There is clearly a pressing need for independent research in the potential ill effects of GE food, and this research must include extensive animal and human feeding trials.
Robert, I gave you the first word. Stephen, I'm giving you the last word. That's our time for our debate. I thank both of you for coming into TVO tonight and helping us out with this.